Welcome back, everybody. So thanks for your concern. You're here with Berenice.
And I'm Ella. Welcome back. It is
Hi.
another lovely week to be alive, to be here.
Yeah, it is. It is. Just keeping on. Ella, what you been up to?
Okay, I had something very specific.
Okay.
Sorry. Took me a second. I've been up to a lot.
Okay.
Something I wanted to do, plug at the beginning of the show, because just in case.
Yeah.
I'm doing a show on February 15th. It's like a comedy variety show called My Straight Friends. So get the details of that on our Instagram. And also, I'm trying to see all the movies that were nominated for the Oscars. And I saw
Okay.
Zone of Interest, which I usually won't see because it's about the Holocaust and an Auschwitz concentration camp, and I
the
tend to
saddies.
not. I tend not to see that. But I went and saw it, and honestly, 10 out of 10 recommend. It was one of the
Okay.
most profound movies I've been thinking about. I can't stop thinking about it. This is gonna sound fucked up, but I got a mad case of the giggles in the middle of it because the person behind me was making so much noise. Okay, so I'm telling you, it's dead silent. This movie is a very quiet movie, and I got the person behind me that brought a smorgasbord of their own snacks, and so I'm being literally so for 20 minutes this person is rifling through plastic bags. Homegirl brought some pho and is slurping on soup, and so it's dead silent, and we got someone taking out behind me, and obviously I'm not gonna say anything, right? And then finally, after 40 minutes of nonstop noise, the other thing that they did that was low-key fucking foul is they were I'm being dead serious, they were spitting sunflower seeds, so I could hear them cracking nuts and then spitting the shells, and I'm sitting right behind in front of them, so I'm kind of seeing projectile seeds coming from behind me, and this movie is dead quiet. Literally the whole movie's really quiet, and so I'm just sitting here oh my god, this is objectively I thought I was getting punked. And so then finally they quiet down, and there's a really long pause of silence, and then I just hear them it sounded like they shook up a soda bottle and then cracked it, so it was and then at that point, I was with my fucking cousin, and so my cousin fucking starts giggling, and then I start giggling, and I was trying so hard not to laugh because it's not that funny, but just the whole situation was hilarious, and I was oh my god, now I'm the loud person giggling my ass off, but I just was just humorous the amount of noise this person was making, because had we been in the Taylor Swift Eras movie, I wouldn't have cared, We'd been in the Mean Girls musical, go ahead, with the rising prices at the movie theater, I get it, you gotta bring your own snacks, but it was literally just a comedy of errors. But besides that, the movie was absolutely beautiful. I fully loved it. So that's what I've been doing, seeing more foreign movies is my new goal.
Ooh, okay.
I steer away from them because honestly, I'm staring at a screen all day. I kind of don't want to read when I'm at the theater, which is kind of why I avoid them, but I'm doing the reading.
Okay, I like that. You understand some Spanish. You could probably watch more Spanish movies.
It's funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because I want to go to Peru.
Okay.
I think I want to go see Machu Picchu for my 30th birthday. It's kind of, I'm thinking that'd be fun. And have you heard of the new Sofia Vergara Netflix limited series called Griselda?
No.
Really good, honestly. Quite a good limited series. It's Griselda was a female cocaine queen pin in Miami.
Oh.
Now, we love a entrepreneur for sure.
A woman in business.
A woman in business, but she was a little brutal, a little savage, a little... So there's some gnarly
as
scenes.
People in drugs usually are. Yes.
Yeah, it was in that scene. But I was my boyfriend was okay, what are they saying? Since you speak so much Spanish. And I was see, these aren't regular words. This isn't conversational Spanish.
Girl,
this
you
is
just don't know Spanish. It's okay.
I'm working on it. My Duolingo I'm working on it. Anyways. That's what's up with me.
Okay.
What's up with you?
What's up with me? You know, I leave for Mexico for a bit in like a week and a half, and it just dawned on me that that's happening. But like, I'm also trying to like build a business of like, I make outfits and they're like custom outfits, and I'm leaving for like most of February. And it just dawned on me. I was like, I leave in a week and a half. There's like a lot to do in a week and a half. Like I was on the Delulu train up until probably this morning. So now I'm like, oh, we're a little busy, but you know, we're gonna get it done. I did something major. I asked for help.
Woo!
I was like, oh, I need help.
Love it.
Call everyone. So yeah, we'll see. We're just working on that. But with the hee hee ha ha's, yesterday I went to a DJ called Butt, which if you don't know him, you should check him out. I think he's from Germany. And he plays house music. He has one really popular song called Clouds. And he had a pop-up show yesterday, like that was free at like a barbershop. Very fucking New York, DJing in the fucking subway and shit like that. So I went and it was like an hour set, but I had the time of my life. And I stood on like, since it was at a barbershop, I kind of stood in like one of the little booth situations. And I was like, am I a platform girly again? Like, I was built for this. All these like sea of NYU kids, and then like me in this platform, and I was like, I went to a state school. No, I really felt like I was back in college for a second. I was like, wow, this is thrilling.
I mean, it was probably way more fun than it's probably what we thought college was like, but it just wasn't.
No, it wasn't like our local DJ who we had like Math 102 with, like it was a little better than that. But yeah, so there's been some fun stuff going on over here in my realm of the world, but I'm excited to get into this episode. Today we are talking about point of view. You just went through a breakup. So should we get into it?
Let's do it. All right, so this topic was kind of sparked by Austin McBroom. If we've seen his breakup, he's been literally shitting and pissing and throwing up over his breakup, and he's been posting some funny Snapchat content, and we just thought about like POV talks a person gets dumped and other POVs for just basically you're ending a relationship. So we'll start off with like POV, a toxic person gets dumped. All right. It's really funny when someone when you see your ex start working on themselves after you've been like begging them to work on themselves, and then they get dumped, and it's like they're a self-help guru.
Yeah, this actually, I can relate to this kind of recently. There was like somebody, I was kind of like, I wouldn't call it a full situationship. It was just something that lingered for way too long until, it's finally like Riz rap done, so raps. And one of my friends like met up with him for dinner, and he was just talking about how he's a changed man. He's not smoking. He's not drinking. He's not dating. He's reading self-help books. He's like doing the work on himself. And I was like, you did terrorize me for a few years, but like, I'm glad you're doing that now.
You're like, I'm thankful, I guess, for like the globe, the universe, other women in New York, but okay.
A whole new person, okay? And the thing is, it's interesting because you do ask for that for a very long time, but I'm glad like people finally get it together. I think honestly, usually it goes like people will have like a little party face for a while from like their legitimate like breakup, and then kind of like go downhill, like the toxic specifically. they'll go downhill before they come back up in most situations.
I mean, it just depends on the person, but I feel like I also, when a toxic person like gets dumped, I love their like PR scheme around the the breakup.
Let me not look like a horrible human. Let
Yeah.
me look somewhat decent. Like, it was both. It was both. We both had things to work out. It was mutual. We just
And then you're like, okay, but who dumped who? And you're like, well, she dumped me, but like I was gonna dump her, and you know, she's really, you know, she puts up a front too, you know, she's not as good at, yeah. And this whole like trying to like, I'm like, who is this for? Who are you talking to? Like, this is
yeah.
really
Where are the cameras at?
Yeah,
Where are the
literally.
cameras? Man's
Like, go to a confessional,
to
dude.
You don't have to convince me.
Yeah, literally, you don't have to convince me.
Oh my god. Yeah, you know, I agree sometimes with this. You know, it's so bad when they like go to straight to religion.
Yeah.
Suddenly, they're a man of God. Okay?
You know, I think sometimes you just have like I don't know. I think sometimes you're like, this has to be a part of a plan because maybe you thought the other person was locked in. So maybe I don't know. Sometimes, depending on the person, but I think sometimes when a toxic person gets dumped or just someone in general and they didn't see it coming, they like need to speak to like someone bigger than themselves about why this happened. You know, like let me talk to the dude above about why all of this is happening to me.
I think that a lot of people turn into like religion or spirituality or whatever, which we'll get into a little bit of like the hot girl one. But because you need like something to believe in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which in a way that's good. But when I think about this specific thing, how this specific thing manifests, I think of the episode of like Arrested Development where where Job is like, he is talking about how he came out as like a gay man, but he's gonna go to conversion therapy so he could come back rebranded as not gay, but not actually not gay. You know what I mean? So I feel it's like that rebrand of like, I went to church and I found God, therefore I'm this new person, without necessarily taking a lot of accountability in like healing themselves and actually becoming a better person.
Yeah.
They're just like, I just talk to God now.
It's the quick. I said quack. I meant the quick track to healing is. I'm gonna let someone else bigger than myself just do the healing for me. I'm not gonna work on myself. I'm just gonna let God heal me.
And God healed me because I've been going to church, and it's like, no, that's
like,
not
what are you
that
learning
is.
though? Like, what are you learning? What are you absorbing?
Therapy and religion are not the same thing, babes. Okay, let's start there. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can make right with the Lord, but the Lord is not gonna all of a sudden make you feel the pain that you need to feel in order to heal and to able to let go of your trauma. Like, the Lord is not gonna do that, unfortunately. That's on you.
Honestly, this is just a red flag in general, but if I hear the word like demons come out of a dude's mouth, I'm like, what
I'm fighting
demons?
my demons.
Like, do you need an exorcist? Like, you know what I'm saying? What demons are you fighting? Like, it always like is such a like, I don't know why, but I straight up am so confused. And anytime I try to dig into what someone's demons are, we don't really get good answers. I'm fighting myself, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
There was a TikTok I was very stand up for this one that said like, dudes out here be saying they're fighting their demons. What demons? Are your demons bisexuality? And I was like, you know, they could be, baby. Like, yeah, they could be. And this is like specifically for like serial cheaters. It was like, what demons, bro?
I mean, yeah, the demons thing is always very interesting to me. Usually the demons are just like not caring about other people, putting themselves in front of other people. I think sometimes that's what the stem is that you just don't care enough to like put other people first.
I mean, I will say, like, when people say like finding themselves, I see that one, because sometimes when you're in a relationship, you get so caught up in like who you are as part of that relationship, depending on your dynamic. Like, obviously your relationship takes two people to do whatever, like, but getting out specifically from like a long-term relationship where you made this person a really big part of your life, when you're alone, when you're without this person, I think you do need to figure out who you are without that person, you know? And sometimes this is where I see a lot of people get into like, I'm finding myself, but it's never necessarily at least like that positive. Sometimes it's like I'm finding myself and it's like at the club. You've been finding yourself at the club for a year and a half. What have you found at the club?
Also, it's like, what is this different? Like, what new things are you doing to discover yourself? Because if you've been at the club and you still go into the club isn't offering anything new.
No, it's the same vibe. It's actually kind of trippy, because when I first moved to New York, I went out to clubs and it was all these promoters and specific people that I saw. And then like 2 years later, I went back to the clubs like randomly on like, I don't know, a random day. And it was still the same people. And I was like, oh my God, you guys have been around doing the same thing for 2 years? Wild. Wild.
Obviously, like, I understand like the hustle, and I feel like, if you're hustling for money and you want to be in the club scene, I get it. But honestly, it's kind of like what's that movie? I don't know, but it's like you play the same day every time, Like, I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I didn't like the club because it was like no matter what club I went to, it was like the same kind of like hot girls, guys spend money, fucking champagne bottles.
It's very shallow and it's
Yeah.
very entitled. People think they can act however they want because they're paying a large sum to be there, specifically in New York clubs. And also, I just like started raving, and honestly, going from like a rave scene to a club, the vibes are so bad. Everybody's on edge, guarded at clubs, just because it's just like a different vibe where it's just not kind. Like, the vibe is not there for you to be nice to each other. The vibe is to like show out all the money you have, which DJs you're there to see. Like, it's really like cloud chasing 101 when you're at the club. And I just don't vibe with that. Like, I'm out here really trying to kiki, make absolute
Right.
homies, and some people are not plur at the club. So
It's honestly, it's one of those things that I was like, I don't like it here because I can't hear myself think.
I don't mind that part. Like, I honestly think like dance therapy is real. Like, I understand why people like to go like have that release through like dance and music and movement. Like, I'm all with that. However, I think it's more about like, what is it that you're getting out of this experience, right? And mostly when you're like buying into it and spending all your money and being around specific people that could be toxic for you, because you're, well, what's that phrase? Flocks of a feather flock together, whatever.
Birds of a feather flock
Birds of a
together.
feather flock together. If
Your
you're in the
vibe
club
attracts
scene,
your tribe.
yeah, like if you are constantly surrounded by people that at first when you met you thought like, oh, this is shallow, this is whatever, the more you hang around those people, the more like them you become. So you just gotta be careful into what you're buying into. At the end of the day, like, it really is a reflection of who you are in the spaces that you're in. Unfortunately, even if you feel like you're different from people there, you're probably not.
Ooh.
Ooh.
What's like the last thing that I feel like toxic people do, and I'm like, oh my God. I feel like they always hit up that person that they told you not to worry about.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's their like go to. And then it's like, you're like, I just know it because I've been on like, I don't know, both ends of the fucking spectrum where it's like,
I've been the girl they told you not to worry about. Yeah.
Literally. And I actually just remember this text because I told this person, please leave me alone. I never want to see you again. I never want to hear from you again. I literally don't understand why you feel like hitting
You can
me
reach
up
out to
is
me.
like, I
Yeah.
don't get it. 8 months later, me and Brooke broke up. Haha.
Okay.
Yes, and what the fuck?
Yeah.
What does this mean to me? Thought you should know. Why? No. Like, fuck, dude. And then I felt bad for Brooke. I'm like, he couldn't wait to text me that you guys broke up and we haven't spoken like almost a year. And the last time I spoke to him, I said, never speak to me again.
I honestly would have replied, I'm happy for her. She finally got that she could do better.
I mean, yeah, that one actually, I actually hate, like, sometimes that, like, I guess it's, like, something different, but sometimes when a breakup happens, I'm, like, so happy for whoever was just being, like, strung along. Like, I think this goes into, like, POV for a hot girl. Like, I honestly feel like some people just rather have someone than no one,
Yeah.
and they can string people along, and I feel so guilty when that happens to, like, a beautiful person who has like a lot going for them, but they're just paired up with someone that just doesn't see it. Oh man, that really hurts my heart.
I don't know if they don't see it, but they can't see outside of themselves. Like, I think a reflection of where you are in your life is such like a big thing. Like, if you're dating someone who's just like struggling in their own path, you can be a big cheerleader in their journey and you could be doing really good. But if they can't like work it out with themselves, then it doesn't matter like who you are and what you do. They're just not going to be able to appreciate it. So sometimes you got to let people like figure things out. And I don't know if it's necessarily wanting to be with someone rather than no one. I think there's also like attachment that goes into it, like getting attached to somebody and being in love with somebody, even though you know that that may not be the person for you. I think it's sometimes like a little hard to let go of somebody when you love them, even though they might not be your person, you know? But honestly, no one is always better than someone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to like, have you been watching Love Is Blind Sweden?
No, girl.
Didn't think so, but there's this one girl on there who she's super dope, and this guy just does not like her as much as she likes him, and I just feel like I'm like I can't wait till she moves on and finds a guy that likes her as much as she likes him.
Yeah, I heard something recently that was like just being grateful for the fact that like this person couldn't see your light, because then that means like there's something better for you out there. There's somebody that like will see it, and like sometimes you should be thankful that they didn't actually get to know you enough to see the light, because maybe they're not actually in the place that they would treat you the way like, you know, that you're supposed to be treated or whatever. And I really resonated with that, because it's like, yeah, you can be amazing, but I'm telling you, if somebody's just like not ready to see it, they will not see it. And maybe that is for the best, because if you linger and you stick around and you take whatever you can get, they're going to treat you like shit. Okay. And then they're going to dim your light. They're going to shit on your light. And they're going to take that, because people are little vultures. Okay. So if there is somebody that's not seeing it, that's like, how can this person is so fucking blind? Thank God. Let them be without glasses for a while and let them, you know, like rock it out, because I guarantee you, if you try to force it to make it work, it's just not. I think you're going to end up fighting more to be treated the way that you want to be treated, to be respected, to be etc. for whatever, when you could just vibe it out and have somebody come into your life that already knows how to do that, where you don't feel like you're constantly trying to fight for getting things that you need. Somebody's just gonna be able to meet you there, you know?
Yeah, baby. And that takes us to POV hot girl.
Hot girls.
Hot girls when they get
when they
dumped
get out
or
of
they
a
dump someone.
relationship, yeah. Damn. They something about like getting out of like a toxic thing or something that was draining you or was taking a lot of mental space, I swear it just like brings back years into your life. People just suddenly look younger, healthier. There's more light in their eyes.
Obviously a divorce is like terrible, but sometimes I just really love when people are like, that's the best thing that ever happened to me, you know? Because obviously it's not fun to go through something like that, but to see someone's like thankful and happy on the other side, I'm like, oh, I'm happy for you that you're not just like sad, that you're happy and excited and like you have this like new, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a forced midlife crisis where you have to like focus on yourself.
I know. It's also kind of sad to watch when it's like a couple breaks up and the girl is just like doing so much better. But the thing is, I think with a lot of girls, it's like they will literally uproot, change their whole lives. They're just like, you know, I just need a little change to do. something positive, something that's gonna make my skin glow.
I mean, sometimes they just have more time and resources. Like, dating can be a time consuming and energy consuming habit. And I love seeing when, like, people have all this time and they're just like hotter than they ever were. And they were hot to begin with.
They dump that Dusty and suddenly, you know, they're going on Hinge on fucking social media, probably posting the best pictures you've ever seen of them.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you're a model.
Well, dust attracts dust, okay? When you date a dusty man, you start slipping, I think, because you're just because your vibe attracts your tribe.
I wonder if my ex-boyfriend knew the end was coming because you know, you get into a relationship and then you know that you're happy and in love sometimes when you start gaining like love weight. So it's like I got like a little pudgy and like it was cute, you know, like this is just what happens when you're in love sometimes, at least to me. And then the pandemic happened and I just was like not happy in my relationship, but I also just started like doing things for myself. Like I started going on runs and then I just like started working on my own self-esteem. And then I just started taking like more pictures and being more creative. And I wonder if he knew that that was the end. You know what I mean? When she's like, oh, she's ready to turn her life around.
Probably when you moved to New York without him was probably, he was like, I think she didn't take me with her.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's
do that.
probably when they started. But yeah, no. I mean, honestly,
I'd recommend that though for a clean breakup. If you have trouble detaching from people, like if you linger on because like, you know, you love this person and you know you can't do it, I do recommend moving away from that person. It makes it a lot easier when you don't see them. You have to hang around them because you have friends in common and you allow each other to heal without you and carry on life without you. And it's kind of like ripping off a band-aid because it's really 0 to 100.
Yeah.
But I actually think it was like probably the most beneficial for both of us. Like he moved on, he is like with somebody else. I'm happy for him, to be honest with you. And I think if I had been in the same city, constantly being around him, it would have been like really messy and it would have taken a lot longer for us to be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be together.
Yeah. Clean breaks, baby.
Clean breaks.
I mean, honestly, I think sometimes like, a person's kind of like a habit that you have to like break when it comes to a breakup. And sometimes the easiest way to break a habit is completely change everything. No, but like change your environment, you know? Like it actually is like scientifically proven. Like if you want to break a habit, you're going to have to like change your life, you know?
Ready to become a new person.
Hey man, sometimes I don't know. I also don't think sometimes like breakups are like, or a relationship is so insidious. Like you could be in a good, healthy relationship and still glow up after because it's just like it's new and it just you get time to refocus on yourself because no matter how healthy your relationship is, you're focusing on another person. And then when it's just you alone and single, you're like, okay, wait, shit, this is just me, you know? That's all you focus on.
Yeah.
It's like you and your dog and whoever.
You and your mains, and that is it. No, period. Sometimes, you know, it was so bad, and even if it wasn't like a full relationship, maybe it was somebody you were talking to, whatever. Whenever you drop a dusty, you know, it was so bad that you turn into astrology. Okay, that happened to me. I was like, oh, what's astrology about? And now I can tell you everything that's going on with the moon and the sun and the.
I mean, honestly, I love that freedom. I love that freedom of like, let me figure this out. I mean, I straight up feel like manifestation, affirmations, astrology, it's all just kind of like, I don't know, a more spiritual way of looking at self-care and like leveling up and growth. Manifestation is just like a tool. And I feel like I love that, you know, whatever tools you want to use.
I think like spirituality and all that stuff is like really close to kind of like the religion aspect, that it's like holding on to hope that like the universe has it worked out. I just specifically like it more than subscribing to specific religion, because with spirituality you're talking more about like the universe and like how things happen rather than like a specific like way that it goes down. Because I just, you know, nobody really knows, and I feel like sometimes religion, I don't know, at least for me.
Well,
I'm
they're
not
mostly
like a
patriarchal.
girl. exactly.
Which
And
kind
I
of
just
is
like,
like,
yeah,
nah, I
and
just
it's
got out
used
of
to
a
like,
breakup. I don't know if I
yeah,
really want to rely on
no,
Sky Daddy now, I'd rather just do
no.
other things.
Yeah, and sometimes when you join specific groups of people, they'll judge you for the things that you like did or whatever. I just don't need all that drama. You know what I mean? Like that just sounds like a lot. Like some religions used to divide people. I'm just really not about those vibes. Like I'm just trying to become like a new girly.
Yeah, it's like I don't want this history of trauma when I'm trying to grow as an individual from this breakup. Yeah, I
It's kind
get
of a
it.
lot. It's
Yeah.
kind of a lot. I just need to believe that everything happens for a reason and the universe is working for me, not against me, and that's it. Like that's literally all I need in order to keep going. So I maybe that's why the crystal girlies and the witches are out. Okay.
I love it. I mean, I also love like when people get new hobbies. I love
Oh
a new
yeah.
hobbies. Like you'd get in a breakup. My friend, she is like such a boss in pole dancing, and she takes a lot of different classes. And like I feel like that was sparked because of a breakup, because it's like kind of embarrassing to. I mean, I don't think it's embarrassing, but depending on your relationship dynamic, like I'm gonna learn how to pole dance might make some losers uncomfortable. I don't know. Anyways. I think they waited until after the breakup.
Yeah, I think you wait to do a lot of things after your breakup. And you have all this new time and found like just resources where honestly, like for me, like with the whip, it did come like after I ended things with somebody and it was awesome. Like it just taught me obviously you're putting attention into something new. You can get like super hyper fixated so it distracts you. And mostly if it's something like art or expression related too, like it really does help you release stress, express your feelings in a way that's just like more positive and also fun. Like anything that requires you to move around and like exercise a little, like get your cardio up is also just like boosting your serotonin. So, releasing endorphins, which are really good for you. And then when you start becoming good at something, that high of like, whoa, I was in the depths of hell and now I'm really good at this thing and I'm actually totally okay. You're like, I'm
It's
winning.
like it's literally like a tool of healing, because breakups are emotionally
The
tough.
worst.
They're tough. They're never easy.
Yeah.
I don't even give a fuck what your situation is. Like it's never easy to break up. But sometimes when you just pick up a new hobby or you go back to an old hobby like painting or whipping or dancing or whatever, it's like legitimately just healing magic so that you kind of have an outlet for negativity and tough emotions.
Just hit that whole rebrand. I also see with a lot of people who get out of breakups, it's dyeing your hair, cutting your hair, dyeing your eyebrows. Who knows? Whatever.
All the above.
All of the above. And honestly, you should do it. Like rebuilding yourself as a human being is one of like the most beautiful things that we can do. Like
I
might as
agree.
well fuck around and find out that I can transform any second I decide to.
Actually, it was interesting. I was thinking about doing this in the update, but I didn't. But like, I was thinking about how beautiful it is that the fact in like 6 months from now, everything could be different, or like everything
Yeah.
could be the same, and you have the
Hmm.
power to do that. I feel like that's
Yeah.
such a crazy concept that like I can change everything about my life if I so choose. I think that's crazy. And so like sometimes with a breakup, it's like I could still be sad about this in 6 months, or I could rebrand to be a totally new person. And you get to choose.
It really could. And sometimes you even think about 6 months back and maybe that person that now is terrorizing your dreams, you didn't even know. Right. So that sometimes gives me some perspective like, oh, I was totally fine 6 months ago. It hurts right now, but I'll be totally fine in 6 months. It'll be in a new place, new
Yeah,
people.
we have this thing like as human beings, like a recency bias, where it's like what's happening right now seems like the most intense, impactful thing, and it is because it's what you're dealing with right now. But like, I, I literally forgot my ex's name for like 30 seconds, and it
What was
was
that, man?
I literally and I mean, remember crying, like combusting in class. Like I would be in a class and I would be trying to pay attention, and then like I'd fucking like be like, I need to cry right now because I was like so hurt about something. And then like I literally don't remember his name anymore. What the fuck? Couldn't tell you. I don't even remember what he looks like really.
Good.
Whoa.
Probably not. Probably not good. Probably not good because once you break up with that person, the love goggles, and you're getting over it, when the love goggles come out, you realize they were kind of a nuggo.
Yeah, also, I love when I see any person just have a really hot rebound, okay? Not to say that you should, but sometimes I'm like, good for you, girl. I love you getting back into the water with some really hot underwear model. We love that for you. Like, you deserve it after all the shit you just went through in that breakup.
Period. Ain't nobody gonna judge my girl, okay? Because I want to be her right now. Um,
Literally.
yeah. I think with just like how you deal with a breakup, sometimes I like to think about it of like, what is the story of how I rallied, right? So like if I want to tell my tale later in life of like, oh yeah, this happened to me, and it could have either sent me into a spiral, like I could have decided that I didn't care about life anymore and I did all these toxic things, or my life story could be like, then I got really into this and that led to like a business opportunity. And, then I met these people. And so thinking about it in that way, honestly, sometimes like helps me be like, how do I
Pre-planning.
want to tell this? Like, how do I want to tell this back? Like, do I really want to be the bitch that lingered on another, like on a person for way longer? Because sometimes I feel like part of letting go is like accepting that you have to let this person go, because you can still send them messages, block them, unblock them. All that stuff is really like prolonging like the end per se, because you don't want to detach from this human being. But sometimes when I think about that, I'm like, do I really want to tell this story back? Like, but I was still like kind of messing with it, even though I knew it was going to be over for 6 more months. Or did I decide the next day that I was going to completely drop them off the face of the earth and I was going to move forward and I was going to start something new? You know?
Oh
So
yeah.
that really, yeah.
I
So
mean, I feel like I think about that in life, right? Like, it's like,
yeah.
how do I want my story to play out? And I think with breakups, it's like really good. And I think good time for reflection. What did you get out of it? What you learn? And what do you want to take going forward? And like sometimes it might be best just to like leave some shit. Maybe you don't want to pick up as much baggage from that relationship as you want. Like you can really choose to be like, this person really hurt me, and so I'm going to carry that with me for the rest of my life. Or you can be like, that happened and this is how I rallied and this is how I'm going to move forward.
It's true. Yeah. Sometimes we do carry a lot of baggage and we got to let those bags go in order for us to, because we bring them around everywhere we go. And then when you're with somebody else, they also carry some of the weight of like your emotions and the things that you're going through, obviously, because when you get triggered in a relationship, that becomes an issue. It becomes a bigger issue in your relationship. Yeah. So learning how to let go of those things. I think it's proceed with caution, but don't like the new person hasn't caused the hurt. And I think a lot of people get triggered in new relationships when they haven't healed from old ones, and they start taking it out on like this new person who didn't hurt them at all.
Mhm.
They just triggered something like from their past. It's like, oh, my ex-boyfriend, or what, never really put, like, he said he would do something and he never did it. So now when my new partner said he was going to do something and he didn't do it, and I freaked out and he doesn't get it, like, oh, that's because you haven't actually healed from your past relationship where like this was a really big issue. This is a new person that didn't do all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, but how do you want to carry that over into this new thing? That is like, well, now you can communicate a little different and you can assess if they do it or not, if you want to get out right away. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, but it's tough because you don't really know that you're sometimes fucked up until you go through the situation.
Hey, it's always, I mean, healing's like a circular process, and like you think you're healed, like, you know what I'm saying? And then even like I'm in a relationship, it's been 4 years. Sometimes I'm what? This is new. I haven't felt this. And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh damn, let's look at that, because
Yeah.
new situations arise. And we were talking about this with Burunji about like how even though he's been married for like 15 years, new shit comes up, and it's just like one of those weird things that as human beings, like we're never completely a healed person. And like healed as past tense word is not probably accurate. It's more like always healing, always growing.
It takes a while, but like you get it down. New situations give you, I think sometimes when you see patterns repeating, it's the opportunity for you to deal with it differently, right? So take it and really run with it, like full fucking 180 difference of how you dealt with that past situation, because this is the
Yeah.
opportunity to change that. Like if you got triggered because your ex did something and that's in your new relationship, if you didn't say shit in your last relationship, well, maybe it's time you said shit.
Yeah. And honestly, that's really, I think a lot of times that's like, sometimes people repeat patterns, right? And it's like
Mhm.
the easiest, not the easiest, none of this is easy, but you're going to
No.
continue to repeat a pattern until you do something different.
100%. And I think right now I'm like experiencing something, not fully like it, but like sometimes I'll get into sort of like a pattern where could get into like a situationship scenario, and I'm like, oh, we've been here before. How do we stop that? Literally by responding like the exact opposite. Like, oh, one of my needs didn't get met. Well, then I'm done with this situation, and like and carry on instead of like trying to make it work and whatever. Like you just need a plan of action that is completely different from your last plan, and seeing all my different actions in a similar situation but like a different situation, and how my different actions have made somebody react differently. I'm like, oh my god, no wonder why that was a total shit show, because I never communicated clearly. I never was like okay with actually not having this person in my life. You know what I mean? Like even though I always said like I was done, I wasn't really done. But now I'm like, no, now I'm done. And sometimes you have the most power in walking away, being able to walk away. And I think sometimes like I need to remember that I was like, somebody right now is holding all the cards to a situation where I still have the power. That my power is walking away.
Yeah.
So like reclaim your power and you get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I mean, it's something also like not even walking, I guess something that I've been working on that's not certainly walking away, but like kind of like deprogramming myself to expect a similar outcome with a different person, if that makes sense. Like, okay, I don't bring up this conversation because with my ex, this is how it would go. Okay, well, you're not dating your ex, so you can't like expect that this new person's gonna act the exact same. And this can happen with
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like even like work, like I've had situations where I knew how my last company or manager would react, so I'd have some like fear and anxiety with dealing with this new manager, but then this new manager is really understanding and like gets it. And it's like, "Oh yeah, it's because I'm like attaching like this old person to this new person." And so I think that's something too, where I'm like, "Okay, baby."
Ooh, oh wait, I have a good one that we didn't go through with the point of view toxic
Yeah.
person, is just like straight getting into a whole new relationship.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that. Like, have you had it where, like, not me specifically, but I've had, like, girlfriends where it's like their ex got into a new relationship and, like, married, like, within, like, a fucking year. And it's just like, yeah, well, ooh, I don't know if that's a good sign about that person.
I don't know. I think this could be 50-50. Like I actually know a lot of people that yeah, they're like their whole rebound situation was like within a 3-month span, and then that's the person they ended up marrying. It is like an actual phenomenon. Judgment free zone, but I'm saying if you all like literally were together and then the person that low key maybe had like did you dirty, they were toxic, they right away latched into somebody new. First of all, we all know that they were already talking to that person. B,
Ooh,
they had already scouted
yeah,
that other person out. B, I will say that there's probably a lot of the same issues
yeah.
in that relationship than the one that you had with them. So maybe don't be like sad that like you didn't go down that road, because it probably just means that they were like, oh, this seems like an easier situation to get by, to be honest with you. And you never know how long people are going to last. And also like when I was talking to somebody and then he went back to his ex-girlfriend, I was like, damn, that's a shit show, because he's gonna keep cheating on her, and
Ooh.
she knows that, and we all know that, and that's exactly what happened. You know what I mean? So it's like You
Just like
could
count
just
your
tell.
blessings,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Give it some time, give it a little bit of time. I think actually the longer that people wait is a better sign for me. Like if somebody's like, "Oh, I'm just like not doing relationships for like a while after this like past relationship," I'm like, "Good for you." It looks like you're sane, in the head.
Yeah.
Because I think after a breakup, you really have to feel the highs and the lows and figure who you are before you're truly able to get into something with somebody else that's gonna be healthy, in my opinion. But people will do what they say, they'll do what they do, they'll find their soulmate, and that's it. And that's okay too. It's their lives. At the end of the day, it's your life. But the breakups that actually I wanted to touch on, this is not like romantic breakups, this is friend breakups. Toxic versus like
Mm.
other non I mean, most friendship breakups become toxic and then both people are kind of toxic, I think, in different ways. You know what I mean? Or one person's
Yeah.
just really going through it, goes full toxic, and somebody gets fucked over. I hate friendship breakups. You'll think about this for the rest of your life, more than romantic breakups.
Sometimes I think about one of my friendship breakups and like it's not that I regret it, but it haunts me more than some of my romantic breakups.
Yeah.
Because it was just like maybe I could have worked, like maybe it could have been different, things could have been different. I feel like that more than like, I don't know, when a relationship's run its course, it's like run its course. But with friendships, I'm like, maybe if I'd put more boundaries or if I'd been more communicative, like I know that on my part I could have done things differently and it have worked out. So those sometimes hurt me more because it's like you kind of, I don't know, sometimes you value friendships more than you value a dude. At least for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The girlies? The
I just mean,
girlies.
yeah.
I agree. I think it's sometimes like I've had friends who like guy friends who tried to hook up with me who I thought we were really close, and I was like, "How dare you put our friendship on the line
Yeah.
like this?" Without a second thought. Like, what's your plan here? Am I going to be your girlfriend? Then get away from me. You know what I mean? Is this you saying you're in love with me, or is this just saying like you're just in it for the moment? Because that's so disrespectful for real.
Yeah.
And those hurt, but those I've been able to come back from by just being like, that fucking hurt my feelings, like that was stupid, please don't do it again. And I'm like, like right now, like it's extremely platonic, so get it together. Don't touch me.
Literally.
There's some that I think sometimes you just like with anybody, you go through different stages in your life. Maybe your friend found new friends and now she's in a different era of their life. And sometimes they really go off the rails over in that direction, and that has been some of my like friendship breakups where I'm like, oh, we're no longer compatible as humans. And I you know and then it's weird, like you don't necessarily have beef, but you're just like
Hmm.
no longer associating with each other.
Hey man, I mean, like that's kind of life though, It doesn't like hurt less, but sometimes I think I try not to take things too personally as me being just because we're in different eras of life that like maybe something's wrong with me. I think I was kind of beating myself up about not being friends with certain people, thinking like, "Oh, like what's wrong with me?" And then just realizing that like there's nothing wrong with either of us. We're just not compatible as friends. And it like kind of just sucks because you kind of wish you were, but it's like either one of you is gonna have to like change, and you don't want that either necessarily.
That's true. Sometimes I will give friendships more of a go than I will do relationships, but it's similar. Like with people now in friendships and in relationships, I'm like, here my like something happened. Let me reestablish some of these boundaries that I thought were evident in normal friendship. But if you break them, I'm gonna have to reestablish them. I had like one of my friends like try to hook up with this girl, like I was like trying to talk to, and like she knew about it, and I was like, ugh. I was like, this is not, we're not bros here. Like dudes are not loyal, okay, but the girls, we're loyal. Like I have never tried to go for like one of like actively talk to somebody that I know my friend likes, like on
Yeah.
purpose. Like that has never been my intention. It's schemy, it's weird, it's not loyal, for me. And
Hmm.
boys do that a lot, but like at least for me, if I have like a group of friends, I know those bitches are on check, you know, like, like you can't catch my friend slipping.
Yeah.
and when that happened, I was like, oh no, like you can't catch one of my friends slipping. Like, let me be very clear about my expectations regarding this specific thing. I was like, this doesn't have to be the end of our friendship, but this is kind of like what I expect moving forward. And they were like, yeah, 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 yeah. And then some other things like went down that were weird. And we are no longer friends. And I recently saw like they had a picture with like this one person like on their birthday. And I was like, damn, like I really ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like
That sucks.
those hurt. Those hurt
Yeah.
because friends will get you through like the depths of hell. Like a good friend is gonna be there for you at some of like the worst times of your life, and to not feel comfortable talking to that person anymore, like really sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird now that I'm like older, I guess. Like I don't know if older makes sense, but I feel like now my boundaries are so much more firm that I have a lot less empathy for people stepping over boundaries, because I feel like when you don't set up boundaries and someone steps over them, then you didn't actually really have a boundary, right? Like you just had like an unspoken expectation. But like now I'm like, but I told you that didn't I didn't like that, and that didn't make me feel like I could be close to you as a friend. So, and you still did it. So that makes me feel like you don't really want to be my friend, And that really sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. There's also people that are in more toxic spaces in their lives, you know, like with the drinking or whatever other substances. And personally, I know like when I've had friends like that where I'm like, I'm just not trying to be that vibe anymore. Like it's a way of outgrowing, but also just also setting those boundaries for yourself that like I understand you're going through a rough time right now, but me going out drinking with you 4 times out of the week is just not where I'm like headed in life at
I ain't
this
got time
moment.
for that.
I ain't got time for that, shoddy. So you let me know when you want to hit a yoga.
Hey,
I'll be that friend. You know what I mean?
I think honestly, sometimes you don't have to completely shut a door. I think, like, I guess that's different from relationships and friendships. Like, when I live a relationship, like, door closed, like, no, we're not friends. Like, that's, at least for me, I can't do that. Like, it just doesn't, having someone, like, as a friend when you broke up, no, not my thing. But, like, as a friend, sometimes you don't have to completely shut the door. You could just be like, hey, when
Yeah.
you're ready, because sometimes you never know what people are going through. Sometimes people are just going through like a phase, and you're like, I'm not loving this phase for you,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to be a part of it because I don't want to like play in.
Encourage this
Yeah,
behavior.
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get
Yeah.
arrested. Almost like you're low key doing shit that's like not smart. Anyway, so you're like, I can't like be with you while you're doing this, but I'll always be here if you want to get coffee or whatever. And they come around. Sometimes they're like, I don't know
Yeah.
what that was. That was so out of character for me. Thanks for still being here. It's like, yeah, I was down to still be your friend. I knew this was just not
The
the
vibe.
vibe for either of us.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had a very long friendship with one of my friends, and we both had phases where we just like weren't really talking for like a year, but we were like okay. And I just remember her like kind of asking like what was up, and I was just like, I just don't necessarily love who you are right now, like to be completely frank. And I actually think that low key like made her be like, oh, you know. But we rallied. We were totally like good after that, and you know we're friends to this day. So like some people are worth, you know, how I think just being very straightforward. I see a lot of friend breakups happen when people stop communicating.
Yeah.
Like if your friend's doing some behavior that you don't like, don't become avoidant. I've had most of my friend breakups were because I've communicated that something bothered me, and the other person, instead of like trying to be like, okay, how can we work this out, has just like poof disappeared.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that just showed me maybe not that you don't care about me, but it does show me that you right now you are not in the space where you want to resolve conflict with me. And that sucks because then it hurts my feelings, right? Because then it makes me, I take it personal because that's who I am a
Yeah.
little bit. And that's where that drift causes. Communicate with your friends.
And also, sometimes breakups happen so that you guys can come back later better. Like sometimes when you have like a soft break with someone, it allows you, if you had kept going with that friendship, you would have had the heartbreak, you know, where it's like, oh, we actually can't be friends anymore, versus like, I'm just gonna take a break and then we'll get back to it sometime, hopefully.
No communication with your exes, though.
No, honestly,
Only
dude,
friends.
literally, that's the last thing. PSA: don't ever communicate with your ex. They're your ex for a reason. I don't think being friends with your ex, I don't think that's good. Like, maybe if it's enough time and you guys are both really mature, but I think for most of the time, you really need to take a hard break from communicating with your ex. Long time.
I think it depends. If you all did each other dirty, yeah, don't do that. I've met people who are like cool with their exes, but like there wasn't any major like drama, you know?
Yeah.
They were just like, yeah, we were together for a while, but we realized maybe no. And I'm like, no drama? Like no issue on anybody? Nobody, you know, like
That's
hurt
so
somebody else?
mature.
They're like, no. That's so awesome.
Love that for them.
Yeah.
Never done that.
There was no yelling.
Yeah.
There was no yelling. There were no tears.
You didn't call his mama? He's fucked up.
It'd be like that. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Things for Your Concern. Please subscribe and please go follow us on Instagram at things4 your concern. I'm at Berenice Ideas M.
And I'm at Ella L Tutor. We will see you next week. Bye.